Hey guys, welcome to episode 11 of the Neowin Podcast. I'm Rich Woods.
And I'm Jean Carrasqueira. And today we're kind of reaching a milestone because on
What's the
this
plan?
episode, this is the second episode. We're talking about Microsoft earnings. On the first episode of the Microsoft podcast, we talked
Whoa,
about their
really?
earnings for the third quarter of 2019.
Nice. Nice.
So
Good catch. I
this
didn't even know that. Nice. I barely remember what we talked about last week. Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah. Yeah. So what's new with you? How was your week?
this week was fine. Some personal stuff. I always have personal stuff going on. It's weird.
Well, don't we all? We have personal lives. You know, it's all right.
But yeah, but I planned my vacation for August. I'm going on vacation in the first weeks of August, and I finally planned what I'm actually going to do. Took me some
Where you
time.
going?
I'm going to be traveling all over Portugal with my girlfriend, so that's
Oh, nice. So she's going there this time.
yeah.
Last time you
It's her
came
turn.
here.
Yeah, I
Nice.
messed up.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I'm excited for that.
So I was just looking at this Windows Central article that just came out about this concept for Windows Core OS, and I just sent you the link right before the show. Um, I don't know. I don't usually write about concepts because I think they're stupid, and that's why like I didn't even include it in the show notes. But because the whole idea behind the concept is that they're making it up. It's some guy that the developer behind Hutro, which is a third party Philips Hue app, and they just made something that they thought Windows Core OS should look like, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on this. Like concepts are such a weird thing to cover because it's just
Yeah,
a random person's vision for things.
exactly. And you,
But
you know Microsoft can't look at these. Did you know this?
Microsoft what?
They can't look at these.
Oh, they can't.
If they know that there's a concept, they will actively avoid it because if they end up using ideas from that concept, that they fear litigation. So so
Uh,
if you make a concept, they're either gonna try to stay away from it, or they're gonna try to not use your ideas. So yeah, I mean, just looking at it though, I was looking at the tweet. There's a little video, and it really annoys me that there's an active wallpaper. It's really like it's just waves moving across the ocean or whatever, and that stuff uses resources. I hate active wallpapers. They're stupid. It's
yeah,
it's
it's we had moving images like a while back for background. Like it was possible to have GIFs, I think, or something like that as background, right? Like a
yeah,
long time ago. And
right, maybe,
we
but
just moved
it's
on from that
like
because
minor moving images. Like this is like a full video that this is showing in the background. It's a full. I think it's a waste of resources, and I don't think that would ever make it into the product. But yeah,
it's just one of those things you put on. It looks cool. Just if you don't have to worry about anything, you just look at it and yeah, okay, fine.
I
But then
always I
yeah,
always I always think about every week writing an article called "Things I Didn't Write About This Week and Why."
that'll be make it an
Yeah.
interesting read.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there was that OneNote dark mode story. I didn't write about that one because I couldn't prove it happened. I saw you got it though, which was awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't have written it if I couldn't find it.
Yeah. 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 All right, let's move on to the actual show.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we got a new 19H2 build this week. New 20H1 build as well, which is boring.
Yeah,
But
yeah. 19H2 is actually more interesting than
it was
20H1.
more interesting this week. New features, you can't exactly test them. So we got two actually. We got 18362.1005 and 18362.1006. A few minor new features. It lets you enable third-party digital assistants to voice activate above the lock screen, which is kind of interesting, but it's all about Alexa. Obviously, I don't think we're ever going to get Google Assistant or Siri.
Yeah, it seems like a way to let you use Alexa. I was actually thinking of asking you when I read that if it's possible right now, if you talk to Cortana, can she talk to Alexa in the lock
Yeah,
screen? I don't know if you've tried it.
I would
Yeah,
think so. I haven't tried it.
I don't know
I
if
don't.
if it has to do with that or if it's about like Alexa working independently from Cortana. That's my only.
I think it's about Alexa working independently, and they just said third party digital assistants, and I think the idea is that it's an open thing. If you wanna, if Google wants to bring assistant standalone to Windows 10, they can do that, and you'll be able to pick the digital assistant that works best for you.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's a minor thing, but it's not. It's more than what we got in 20H1. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
actually more
Yeah.
interesting than 20H1 this week.
So these features were turned off by default, and then .1006 apparently turned them on. And according to rumors, 19H2 will have all new features turned off by default. So um, yeah, 19H2 is going to be a very very dull update. I assume that there's a way to turn these on though if they're turned off by default.
It seems kind of weird to roll them out and have them turned off,
It
but
does.
yeah,
It does. Like maybe the plan is to turn them on over the course of time. I don't know. I know it's supposed to be a small update, but it doesn't make sense to make these features, put them in there, and then just arbitrarily turn them off.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense in the way I see it. Like,
Yeah.
why even list them if we're gonna turn them on? Unless you do give people some way to clearly turn them on, there's no point in even mentioning them, right?
Right. Right.
So
Very strange. So this update will be out in the fall. We'll find out what their plans are. They've been very shady about the whole thing. So
they have, yeah,
yeah. So anyway, Microsoft is starting to auto update 1803 users to 1903. No surprise there.
yeah. They
That
announced
was
that last month, right?
They announced it a couple months ago.
Yeah,
When they announced 1903, they announced that they're not going to force this update on anyone. It's going to say that there's that download and install option that you'll see in Windows Update. If you want it, if you don't want it, you can just ignore it, and it won't auto install. But it will auto install if the version of Windows you're on is nearing the end of support, and 1803 is nearing the end of support, which is November, so it's beginning.
yeah. That makes sense. They said it more than once already. So yeah,
Yeah. I was listening to Windows Weekly, and Brad Sams called this aggressive, and I really don't think it is. It's they were aggressive. This is the least aggressive it's ever been, and I understand saying that it's still aggressive. The thing is that these people are on a version of Windows 10 that came out well over a year ago now.
yeah,
They yeah, and the only reason this is an issue and might be seen as aggressive is because 1809 was such a dud, and according to Ed Duplex at least, most people are still on 1803.
yeah. But that's not a. I mean, most people are on 1803, but it's not because they couldn't be on 1809. It's
Yeah,
so.
yeah. The solution is if you don't want 1903, upgrade to 1809. It's very simple. I think that's the one that you want to be on anyway, because if Microsoft is going to force you to upgrade once a year because each update gets 18 months of support, and they're going to auto update you when that update comes to a close. So basically every year you go from 1803 to 1903, or you can go from 1809 to 1909. And so if the H2 update is going to be the minor one that's more stable and there's more quality, then you could stick with the H2 update if that's what you're worried about.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple episodes ago, I think, and yeah,
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense. You can just choose your preferred sort of ring of sorts,
It's
And
like
you
the
just
iPhone used to be. Like remember remember Apple used to have the redesign every 2 years, then they'd have the S model, and like you had S people and you had whole number people. You know that like what do you like? Do you want the Big Bang update with the new features, or do you want the stability update? And you can stick with that every year.
yeah, every 2 years, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And so anyway, if you have Windows 10 Home or Pro, you can even if you get that message saying that you're going to be auto updated, if you're on Windows 10 Home or Pro, you can still pause the update for 35 days, which is nice.
yeah, they are giving people a lot more freedom this time around, and that's great. So calling it aggressive, given the context, is a bit of an exaggeration.
I don't think it is. I mean, you got it's less than 4 months now of support left for 1803.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of time. And Windows as a service, it's not really a service, but they call it a service. And what they said is we're going to take responsibility for your Windows updates. And so they're responsible for not leaving you on an unsupported version unless you actively take steps to stay on that version. They're responsible for not leaving you on 1803 when support ends. They're not going to extend support this time.
Yeah, and if they left people on a supported version, they get criticism for that too. So they have to pick their poison. They got to pick their poison there.
And like it's starting this right now makes sense because they've got 4 months to do it. They're not going to be able to push this out overnight. So they're going to start with the way stage rollouts have always worked, which is they start with the machines that they know are going to work, the ones that they've properly tested, and if there's no issues, they'll move on from there. So 4 months sounds about right.
Yeah, that seems fine.
I mean, if you got a Surface Book 2, you don't get it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Did you write that one?
I think it was me. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you got a Surface Book 2, 1903 just makes your GPU disappear. Awesome.
It's like, how do you not see this? Like, it's your device and it's your OS.
These teams do all work together too. Like the Windows team, the Surface team, like it's modern. Was it Modern Life, modern desktop? Like Office 365 and Windows 10 and Surface, that like they work together for that Microsoft 365 experience, right? So it's very strange that Surface Book 2 just doesn't work with 1903 right now. So that'll be fixed soon, though.
Hopefully, yeah.
No, it will.
Yeah, they said so. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fixed in a cumulative update, and then the cumulative update will be built into the ISO, and then you'll be able to upgrade and you won't have any issues. It's funny that they have upgrade issues to 1903, like blocking issues, and then they fix it in an update to 1903, and people ask like, wait a minute, how can I'd have to get to 1903 to get this update? And I don't think people realize sometimes that update ends up built into the ISO, and that fixes it. So
yeah, otherwise that'll be a pain to service every time someone installs an ISO. They just have to service everything. Yeah.
Well, it would be impossible to like if something is blocking you from upgrading to 1903, it would be impossible to upgrade to 1903 and then get the fix.
Yeah,
you need the fix first.
Yeah.
So
doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're starting to auto update people that are not on Surface Book 2. They have that health dashboard that shows known issues, anything that might block your upgrade. The USB drive issue is fixed. That's finally been marked as fixed. Most of the issues on there have been marked as fixed. I haven't had any issues with 1903, except with some of the new light theme, but that's minor. Nothing deal breaking. So
yeah, I've had a good experience in 1903, but I've seen people whenever we write about Windows updates, there's always someone talking about how 1903 is not worth it and just
makes
performance. There's always someone saying that, and I don't see it. It's weird.
Well, we're gonna hear from those people. That's always gonna happen. It's like something about people is just that the ones you're going to hear from the most are always the ones that have a complaint to make. And I think that's just the net. Like here's the thing. You might go to a restaurant and check the reviews and they have all bad reviews because people don't necessarily want to leave a review unless they have something bad to say. Like they want to make a complaint and they want it to be published publicly. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, people are much more likely to speak out about negative things than positive ones.
Dude, I see comments from people who say they're still on 1703 and they're like, I'm on 1703 and it's good. I'm not upgrading. It's like, dude, you're not getting updates anymore.
Who cares about security?
Yeah. And by the way, I understand that like there are some people that say they're on 1703 because it's their job that's keeping them on 1703 and those like enterprise and education do still get updates for 1703, but there are those people that just refuse. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just update.
Yeah.
I saw a meme that said people who turn off Windows updates are the anti-vaxxers of
oh yeah.
Anyway, tell us about killing off Skype SMS Connect.
Well, that wasn't entirely surprising. So Microsoft Microsoft is killing off their feature called SMS Connect in Skype, which basically lets you connect your phone number. If you have Skype on your phone, you connect your phone number to the app, and then you can send SMS from your computers using Skype. So even Mac OS, Linux, whatever you have, if you have Skype on it, you can connect it and send SMS from there. And this is like the third time Microsoft is building a feature like this. So they had messaging.
Third time.
Yeah. So with Windows 10, I think it was 15 and 11, they had messaging everywhere because they split Skype.
Oh, they never shipped messaging everywhere.
Oh, wasn't it in 15 and
11? No. The messaging app came in 1511, and I believe it only worked with Skype, and you could send messages through Skype. I believe it was in 1607 testing that they announced messaging everywhere, but it never actually shipped.
Oh,
it's crazy.
So there's that. So they started with that. Then they canceled the whole Skype split apps thing, and they made an actual Skype UWP app, and they had SMS capabilities built into that. But that only works for Windows 10 mobile and Windows 10. So there was that sort of limitation there. And so then after they killed that off again, they had SMS Connect, which worked everywhere and was really nice. And now it's that too.
Nice. Nice.
Because they announced the Your Phone app came out soon after this, I believe.
Can I just say something? I love in this image on your article. It's like it shows the message SMS Connect is going away, and it says you can also continue to read and reply to SMS messages from your computer when you install Microsoft Your Phone app. And there's a button that says install, right? What does that install button do? Does that take you to did you click this button at all? Does that take you to the store to download the Your Phone app that comes with Windows 10 and is impossible to uninstall?
I actually did not think to click it now that you mention it.
I just need to know. I need to know because it's impossible to uninstall Your Phone. It comes with Windows 10. What are you installing? I just know.
That is a great question. What the heck? I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
What? That is so strange.
It's probably just labeled wrong, and it probably just launches the Your Phone app or something. But that's crazy. It's a Microsoft thing to do, is what it is.
Yeah. not thought through at all. It's just very strange.
Yeah. Did you ever test out messaging everywhere?
I don't know. I did use the messaging app for a while, but I can't remember if I tried messaging everywhere. Yeah.
The messaging app is such a mess.
I don't know why it still exists. Why does it still exist?
I have no idea. And they just remove bits of the OS sometimes, but not that. And but the thing is, I liked messaging. I liked the messaging app when it first came out, because actually the only way that you could use it for SMS and Skype was with Windows 10 Mobile, and I like that 1511 plan where they split Skype into phone, Skype video, and messaging. I understand that it was a bad idea because trying to bring these three things to feature parity with the rest of Skype would be just too much. But I like that idea of just integrating it more with the OS in general. But messaging everywhere, it was good for its day. It just never shipped, which was really annoying, and everybody hated it. The fact that it didn't ship, they hated.
Yeah.
People missed that when they canceled it.
Yeah, and
So,
I didn't like it too, and I agree with you that the idea of building Skype more into the system was good because it's kind of like iMessage. iMessage, you don't really see it apart from your normal SMS. They just have like different colors too, right?
right.
From what I
Right.
understand.
Well,
So it's just
I would compare it more to iTunes. Like iMessage is like integrated into iPhone, but it's only on iPhone. iTunes is a better example because now on Mac OS it's split into four different places. It's in three different apps, and then various functionality is just in the OS. Like if you want to uh, restore your iPhone to factory settings through a Mac, you would do that through Finder. So on other platforms, though, like Windows, it's still just its own big app. So it makes sense where you can have those different pieces of it on Windows, and then on other platforms like Mac OS or iOS or Android, you would still have that big singular Skype app.
yeah, I think it could have worked. It would have been a lot of work probably to make things
Yeah.
flow well, but if you were on Windows, it would have been the best experience probably.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues was that it didn't have feature parity. Like the messaging app, I think there was an issue where you couldn't send images through Skype messages. It was like basic functionality was just missing. And obviously they were aiming to get it there. Just like when the Skype UWP app came out, basic functionality was missing for a while. And I guess they just realized that it would be too much. So,
Yeah, no, they've really gone for this sort of cross-platform thing that's exactly the same everywhere, or pretty
yeah.
much exactly the same. Because it's an
So,
Electron app, I think, so it's kind of a web-based app. It's the same everywhere.
yeah. Yeah. Did they say when they're killing it? They didn't say, right?
It's at the end of August, I think. Yeah, August
Oh,
30.
okay.
The message. Yeah.
Sweet. Sweet.
So now
Tell
you
us
gotta
about.
use your phone, except there's nothing on macOS or iOS or Linux. So yeah,
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, it's just a connection from your phone to Windows. So it's not like it's a cross-platform service. I don't use your phone anyway, so I'm
yeah,
very
I
happy
do
not using it.
it.
I,
I actually
I
barely open it, though I have it, but
yeah. I like, I already have a bunch of messaging tabs open in my browser. I have two messaging apps open. I have Skype open, I have Slack open, and then in the browser I usually have Google Hangouts and Facebook Messenger open. So I'd rather have Android messages open in a tab in my browser than have a separate app open. But
oh
that's
yeah.
just me. So
You're still using Google Hangouts. That's my main takeaway here.
yeah, you're not the first person to ask me that. And so so I here's the thing. I often carry more than one phone, especially when I'm reviewing one. I I I have a Google Fi phone number, which is not the same as the phone number of the SIMs in my phones. So what Google Fi allows me to do is receive SMS and you know MMS through Google Hangouts. So that
Yeah.
allows me to text from a browser. If someone sends me a text, I get it on all my phones rather than just one. So it's not Hangouts the service itself. It's the
Uh,
SMS I can use through there. So
that should just work with the Android Messages app, but okay.
what?
That should just work through the Android Messages app.
Well, they don't have Android messages for iPhone. They don't. They
Oh,
don't. They don't. They. Android messages will work with one phone, as far as I know. As far as I know, if I have two Android phones in my pocket, um, I'll receive a text message and Android messages in one of those on one of those phones, not both. So
uh,
yeah,
that sucks. Yeah.
yeah. Well, the thing about Hangouts is it's all linked to that one phone number, so I can receive text messages on all devices that have Hangouts, and it's not just about texting through a PC. It's about being able to use it with all of my devices. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
So that's where I'm at with Google Hangouts. So Edge Dev Build, go ahead.
Okay, so there's a new Edge dev build. Obviously, it took them a while because apparently they were supposed to be releasing them on Tuesdays now.
Oh, I love it.
And
I think that's only happened once since they said that.
right on schedule. Then it's exactly
Yep.
what we expected.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's build 1777.0.218.4, and it comes with dark mode, with an option for dark mode in the browser. This was in the Canary channel last week,
Okay.
and now it's in the dev channel. So if you're on Windows 7, 8, and 8.1, now you have dark mode because you couldn't before, because before it was dependent on the system setting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's good.
that's I think that's the most notable thing here. There's more translation stuff. IE mode isn't going to work if you're using application guards, so I wonder why, if that's not compatible, but okay.
Mm.
And that's really about it.
Is
Just
it
some
wait,
fix.
is it an option to prevent IE mode or is it just not working?
It just does prevent IE mode in application guard containers. Doesn't
Yeah.
really
All right. All right.
specify. But yeah,
Yeah.
that fairly small update. Kind of, we're still waiting on betas and actual syncing functionality for everything that's supposed to work. So
Password does password syncing even work in old Edge?
that is a great question.
I barely use Old Edge, but when I do, my passwords don't seem to be there when I use it on a new PC. So I hope that they're making this a priority. I've spoken to them and they seem like they are. They say they are. They're like, "Oh, we want to get everything else working first. We want to make sure everything works perfectly, and then we'll add that." And I just really hope it's a priority for them because without password sync, I won't use it. I'm like, I talked about this last week. I'm on Chrome again because it's easier.
Yeah, but I don't think I've had that trouble with Old Edge. I think I'd be able to log in, like when I set up a new phone, if I put the username in a website that I've used before, it would work. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, it's possible. I
but
mean, I really don't use it. Just I do not use it. So
okay.
I was using
But,
the new Edge for a while, and I'm back to Chrome, unfortunately. So
but I'm looking at the settings page now that you mentioned syncing. They have, I think there's a few options here that have been in Canary. I'm not sure about Dev.
mhm.
But there's a few things here that I think they've turned on in syncing. They have settings. I think there's four toggles that are on: favorites, settings, addresses, phone numbers, and more, and passwords. They're all activated in the
Where is this?
settings page. If you go
But
to the
where in the
setting,
settings page?
oh, it's settings, and then there's like syncing. What is it called? It's just the
I
first
don't see
sync
a
option.
syncing section.
It's on the main
Oh,
page, in the
sync. Oh,
profile
okay.
page. Sync, yeah. Yeah, it's only in the
Sync.
Canary channel. In the Dev channel, it's not turned on for me, and I can't turn it on. So the two new things are addresses, phone numbers, and passwords that are turned on now in Canary.
Oh, interesting.
They are.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ooh. So yeah, and that's not turned on for me. Um, I'm gonna play with that later. So that's not in dev yet, huh?
No, I opened Dev to double check, and it's not working in Dev, but it is in Canary.
Damn it.
So, so next week, maybe you can
Oh
switch
wait.
back to Edge.
No, it doesn't work for me. Not even in
In
Canary.
Canary, what version do you have in Canary? I have. Are you on the latest one?
Oh wait, no, it just turned on. Okay, so we have a bunch of options that don't work here, right?
Yeah, we still have a bunch, but now these two
Yeah,
are activated. So that's
extensions, history, and open tabs. The buttons are there, but you can't click them. So
yeah,
I just relaunched Edge Canary, and I can turn on passwords, which is pretty cool. Um, yeah, very cool. But I can't. The option is there in dev, and I can't click it. So
yeah.
all right, we're
That's
getting there.
next week. Yeah, next week maybe you'll be
Nice.
able to. Yeah,
Can't
some
complain
progress.
about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
that's
making
cool.
progress. Yeah.
That dude, that's the thing that I want. It's
Yeah.
history and password. Okay, great. I'm so pumped about this now. I can't even know. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
we mentioned that last
Next
week.
thing.
So yeah.
Xbox insiders in the Alpha Ring are now testing version 1908. End of story.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because last week you said you expected that after 1907 it would be
Dude,
1910.
I totally
Apparently,
thought it
yeah.
would. What features do they have left to add?
Turns out they don't. They actually don't have any features left to
Okay.
add.
No, they don't. So here's the way that this usually works. Right? Windows 10 gets two major updates a year, one in the spring, one in the fall. Xbox gets those updates too because Xbox runs Windows 10. So some features don't make it into the major feature update. And then they do monthly updates where they kind of add those things gradually. And sometimes there's a couple other things that they think of along the way, but you'll see a lot of things that they're planning to do for an update doesn't make it into the update, then gets into the next month's update. So 1904 was what we call 1903 on Windows 10. They had 1905, 1906, and 1907. And after 1907, I really expected them to move on to 19H2 because skip ahead insiders have been testing this for months and months, and they haven't gotten any new features because obviously if there's new features they go into the monthly update that regular alpha ring testers are
Yeah.
testing. So now we got 1908, and Brad Rossetti, who announces all the builds, he said this build has fixes we need ASAP to measure build quality, ASAP, as soon as possible. But the fix listed was various stability fixes to the system. So there's literally no information about this update. I just thought it was really interesting that they're getting 1908 instead of going straight to 1910.
Yeah, it's. I was surprised too because you said you expected 1907 to be followed by 1910. And
Why
thought,
wouldn't it? This makes no
yeah,
sense.
I
It was,
expect. Yeah, I thought you were right. I thought you were right, but apparently
yeah,
Microsoft just likes playing with us. Really.
yeah, yeah. All right, that's it for that. Um, Q4 earnings. This was. All right, first of all, let's talk about this article. It was a nightmare to write, and I just want to say that it was terrible. I started writing it. I was like halfway through, and my power went out for about a second. It was enough time for my desktop to shut down, my internet to reset. So then I went to a laptop because if it happened again, I didn't want the PC to shut down. I had to start over. And then I wrote it, I submitted it, and it was about to be published. And then we realized that there was a problem with images on Neowin. And Steve messaged me. He said he DQ'd it. And it was published about 10 hours after I submitted it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. Oh my.
Yeah. Anyway, Microsoft generated $33.7 billion in revenue for 12% growth, which is pretty solid quarter. Let's see some highlights. So the biggest thing was that Intelligent Cloud was the biggest of the three. So there's Intelligent Cloud, more personal computing, and productivity and business processes. And Intelligent Cloud was the biggest one with 11.4 billion. Usually it's more personal computing. So
It was close though. There's 100 million.
well, it was close, but usually more personal computing is the biggest, kind of by a lot, by like a couple billion. And see, here's the thing: more personal computing includes all those consumer products we love, which is Windows, Surface, Xbox. Bing's included in there too. Not one of the products we love, but it's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the cloud has been the message for a few years now, and it's always been kind of funny that this is the thing that they've been pushing for so long, yet the one with Windows is the one that always comes out on top. But not this time. Obviously they've been showing such strong growth in cloud for so long that this had to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Intelligent Cloud is not an actual Microsoft product, but it's not an actual thing. But you look at the way that they divide up their revenue reports, and they're just it's like they say what they want, and they kind of make up these categories. Like when I saw that Intelligent Cloud made more money than personal computing, my first thought was like, okay, so they moved some stuff from more personal computing to Intelligent Cloud, so now it has more money. That was my first thought, and I don't think that's what happened, at least based on the report. So
yeah, Azure grew a lot.
Azure always grows a lot. 64%. Server products grew 5%. They always have these three categories, which like server products and cloud services grew by 22%, and that's broken up into 64% growth in Azure and 5% growth in server products. So that's cool. Windows OEM Pro revenue grew by 18%. Non-Pro declined by 8%. Microsoft said that the Pro growth was healthy Windows 10 demand and also the upcoming end of life for Windows 7. But it's really just just the upcoming end of life.
Nah, that's a minor thing.
Yeah.
Don't think about it too much.
Yeah, don't think about it too much. Surface revenue grew by 14%, which was kind of surprising because it had, the hardware range is aging. They're all using Kaby Lake R chips. Well, not all, but I mean, obviously, Surface Studio is using a 7th gen processor.
That was so sad. Why would they do
that? It is. Microsoft, they said it's due to growth in the commercial segment, which, I mean, I can't think of any other possible reason that Surface would have grown. Well, actually, I mean, last year we didn't have Surface Pro 6 and Laptop 2 and Studio. So we do have a refreshed lineup from last year. So maybe it was just a slow quarter last year. I don't know. What surprised me was that gaming revenue declined by 10%. Hardware revenue declined by 48%.
That was a steep decline. I saw your tweet about their expectation.
Hardware revenue declined by 48% because of guess what? A decrease in volume of consoles sold. Whoa, whoa! It's like saying our revenue is up primarily because we made more money. It's not saying anything. So there's that. I mean, they didn't give any reason beyond that. I would say that a big reason would be that Scarlet is on the way. We're at the tail end of this generation, so I don't think it's really surprising. They obviously the Xbox One SAD edition didn't help sales at all.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it did.
Yeah. Software and services declined, which that surprised me a little bit, but by 3%, not a huge deal. And then Xbox Live monthly users grew by 14% to 65 million.
So, it seems kind of contradicting almost. How does the services make less money if you have more people using them?
Well, yeah. I mean, Xbox Live is not a paid service, though. I mean, anybody can use it.
Yeah, I was thinking of Live Gold. Yeah, but
no, that's not. They're not Live Gold. It's funny. Like I remember the first time that they announced like this huge Xbox Live number. It was like a year ago, and I remember looking at it and saying like, wait a minute, they just and it was the quarter after they released Microsoft Solitaire Collection for iOS and Android, and I'm like, wait a minute, that might have something to do with it. Like the huge number of Xbox Live users has nothing to do with people actually using an Xbox anymore. So
Yeah,
Well, that's
very
earnings.
sneaky of them.
Oh yeah, there's Office 365 too. 31% growth in Office 365 commercial seats, 23% growth in revenue per user, and so regular Office commercial products declined by 17%. Office 365 consumer subscribers grew to 34.8 million. That's not right. Did I type that wrong?
Well, it
No,
seems to be
no, I didn't.
right.
No, that's right. I
Yeah.
was thinking, yeah, I was thinking something else. And then Office consumer products and cloud services grew by 6%. So that's Office. Office is doing well as always, as it always has. And yeah,
Yeah,
Microsoft's doing well.
yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, 32.7 billion in revenue is a lot of money.
Yeah, that is a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's move on. Apple might put the rainbow logo on its products. What do you think?
Um, I'm not sure I'm not a huge fan of the logo, to be honest. I just think it looks old.
It does.
That's the only thing. But if you're gonna reuse it at any point, I feel like it's right now is a good time because not only is it a nostalgic comeback, but it's also a representation of their prior products. Yeah, they always have something like that, and
Yeah,
so you can take it either way.
I
And
think
yeah,
you hit the nail on the head that it looks old. And
yeah,
um, so here's the story. The Apple might. There's a report which even there's a report from Mac Rumors, and even Mac Rumors said it might not be true. So this might just be nothing. So the report was that Apple might use its old rainbow logo on some of its products this year. Doesn't say which products. It doesn't say anything specific. So they could just be bringing it back for their entire brand. They could be creating a special edition of a product. No one knows. Um, but I think you hit the nail on the head that it just looks old. And like you said about nostalgia, nostalgia is big. I saw plenty of tweets about how, oh, this is a great idea. I'd buy this in a second. The thing about a product like this is that you'll get plenty of people that buy it on day one for nostalgia, and then day two, no one will buy it because it's not a great looking logo in 2019. So like you're either buying it for nostalgia on day one or you're not buying it.
yeah. It's one of those things that gets people talking about you more than it gets people buying the product, and that's, I mean.
Yeah. Enough people talk about Apple. The concept images look nice. Um, I would love to have a product that has this logo on it, but I wouldn't buy a product to have this logo on it for 2 years. It's I'd love to have it on my iPhone for a week, but that's it.
But send like a sticker with the logo. Just put it on top of the Apple logo on your iPhone, and just when you get tired of it, you just take it
Yeah,
out.
exactly. And these stickers do exist. So yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't see Apple doing this unless, like you said, like unless it's a pride thing. But I still don't even really see Apple doing it. It's a little too much.
Yeah, I think it's a little too much effort because usually they've done like watch bands, but those are easier to make than assembling a whole phone just to put that logo on it.
Yeah, well, they could. It's just. I mean, the logo is a little too much. Like it just doesn't look good in 2019. Like they used this thing for over 20 years, from 1977 to 1998, and like they haven't used this on a product in over 20 years now. Like there's a reason that they moved on from that in 1998. They could have stuck with it if it still looked good. It doesn't though.
Yeah, I think it looks very retro, and I'm not sold on it either. So
Yeah, they're not the Rainbow Company anymore. They're the white minimalist, single color, no background company.
yeah, they have this sort of minimum premium image that
Right.
they,
You
yeah.
know, like that basic white Apple logo, like that's what Apple's all about. The various different colors and the flashy, colorful look. That's not Apple. That's not the 2019 Apple. Although with the Johnny Ive one, who knows?
Yeah. A lot of things could change, even though he's
A
still
lot
working for them. But
exactly. He quit Apple so he could work for Apple. So yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Man, we'll see if this happens. I have my doubts too, but you
Yeah.
never know.
All I can see is a possible, special edition product. And maybe a special edition of an existing product that's exactly the same, except it has a different logo on it that costs $200 more. Um, like they could release an iPhone. They could release an iPhone 10R2, whatever they're gonna call it, um, with in all the different colors. They could have one color that has that logo, and they can charge $200 extra for it. And
That sounds like an Apple thing to do.
yeah, the key part being that the logo costs $200 extra.
Exactly.
Exactly the same. And when I say special edition, I don't mean like upgraded specs or anything. I mean just the logo.
It's like the Product Red ones,
Yeah.
but even more expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Product Red costs the same amount of money,
Did the first one cost a little? Maybe not. I thought one of them.
Maybe. I don't know. Let's talk about the Snapdragon 855 Plus. So, Qualcomm introduced a new chipset this week, which is kind of a refreshed version of the Snapdragon. It's not kind of, it is a refreshed version of the Snapdragon 855. And it seems to just have a higher clock speed. It's meant for gaming. And that's about, it's interesting because, this is probably going to show up in the ROG phone or Rogue phone, whatever Asus calls it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been writing about the specs of that phone. So,
I think.
Go ahead.
I think it's interesting that they're doing that. But last year, Asus already had a special version of the 845, but they were the only ones. They basically just sort of overclocked the 845, and no one else did that. And I think this move by Qualcomm announcing it publicly, this sort of thing publicly, kind of levels the playing field for other gaming phones that might come out during the year, because Asus was the only one that did that with last year. But now other companies are probably going to use this. So
I don't doubt that other companies could have done it last year, though.
they could. Yeah,
Asus doesn't have some special technology where they can overclock chips like some companies do overclock chips, but I guess this is just more built for it. Yeah. I mean, they Qualcomm announced the Elite Gaming platform, or Snapdragon Elite Gaming, last year in Hawaii. And I remember at the briefing for that, I'm like, wait, is this a separate chip? They said no, and it wasn't. But yeah, so that's a big part of this is Snapdragon Elite Gaming. Like they are focused on mobile gaming. I know you don't believe me, but mobile gaming is huge. We've talked about this.
Oh no, I'm sure it is. It's just not for me, I would say.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
but
it's certainly a very, very important market. And one thing I because I talk to the guys at Qualcomm a lot, and I know they are super focused on mobile gaming because it's a growing market. It's going to continue to grow. So mobile game. Do you think this will show up in non-gaming phones though?
That is a good question. I don't know. Samsung could put it in the Note 10. Some people have said.
I've seen the speculation that Samsung might use it, Google might use it in the Pixel 4, but why? A bigger clock speed means a bigger hit on battery life always. Eventually smartphones have to get to this place where you're using different chipsets for different use cases, right? We have a very simple system in smartphones. Premium is a Snapdragon 800 series, and then it goes down from there in tiers. With PCs, on the other hand, it's very different. It's radically different. where if you buy an Ultrabook, you get a 15-watt quad-core processor. Core i7 is the best. If you get a gaming laptop, you get a 45-watt hexa-core processor. And, well, now the Core i9 is octa-core. If you get a desktop PC, it's a 65-watt processor or a 95-watt unlocked processor. Like, you have different processors for different use cases because there are pros and cons to each. And you focus on the pros that you want from that device. If you really want the power, you're sacrificing battery life, and that's where that 45-watt chip comes in. If you're just using it for productivity and you want the battery life and a thin device, you can get that 15-watt chip. So it would make more sense to me if the Note 10 and the Pixel 4 use a regular Snapdragon 855, and then we have this chip that's more focused on gaming for things like the ROG Phone 2 and a possible Razer Phone 3.
Yeah, I agree with your stance on that because it's like you're saying, these dedicated devices right now, if you look at phones, gaming phones, they're just the same as any other top end phone. They just have the differentiation is all in the design mostly.
Exactly.
You have stuff like the Novia that has a fan, but it's stuff that's not it's not as obvious as on PCs.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because you can get a better gaming PC with even like if you go for PCs, you can buy a Core i5 and just have a better GPU than having an Ultrabook with a Core i7 because it just has a better the other one just has a better GPU and that's where the focus is. And on phones, you don't really have that because it's all the same. So if you want to have a top-end gaming phone, you have to have a Snapdragon 855 something. And it just ends up being the same as the Samsung, just with a different design.
Yeah, I was surprised that they didn't put a better GPU in this. That part surprised me.
They say it can deliver more 15% increase in speed, but they don't make any mention of how. It's just the higher clock speed of the CPU makes the GPU better. I'm confused.
It could be a higher clock speed of the GPU. As far as I know, Qualcomm doesn't actually say the clock speed of their GPUs. It's out there on the internet somewhere, though. When I first saw this before I looked it up, my first thought was going to be that it's an 8CX but for phones, but it's not. It's just an 855 with a higher clock speed. Like they could have popped in the GPU from the 8CX. The 8CX is much more powerful, and again, talking about tiers and different chips for different use cases. The 8CX is the first time that Qualcomm's most powerful chip isn't made for phones. So I thought that maybe they would have brought over some of those components, but they did not.
Yeah, but I think you're right that they should do it eventually because I think that the thing about smartphones is that and the ARM architecture that it's been developing so fast that maybe there's no time or resources to branch out in that sense.
Yeah.
And computers have been branching out more because the processor technology hasn't been evolving as fast. So you just have to focus on specific things if you want to achieve certain things. And in phones, you've just been making progress so quickly that you don't have that time. But eventually, it might plateau or something, and then you have to branch out up there.
Well, it doesn't. I don't think it plateaus, but they are moving quickly. But it is a mature platform now, right? Like we started using the Snapdragon 835 in PCs, and it wasn't very good, but still, it said something about the 835 that they were able to pop it in a laptop. And we've had 2 full generations since then, and these chipsets are providing way more power than anyone needs. So I don't know if it plateaus because they get to a point where they can't go much further as fast, or if it plateaus because it really is just providing more power than anyone needs. So, flagship phones cost like $1,000 these days, right?
Yeah.
And so now you like Qualcomm came out with the Snapdragon 700 series for that very reason. You can have high-end phones that do what you need it to do with the performance you need without spending $1,000. And for most people's needs, that Snapdragon 700 series is just fine. Snapdragon 600 series is just fine. And I think we might see the 800 series move to that kind of special use case type of thing.
I think that would be interesting, or maybe they'll just continue to use the Plus branding, but who knows?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like really buying an iPhone should be, a niche thing. It really should, because like the way it's priced and what you get for it, it really should be a niche. Like buying a Galaxy S10 or a Note 10 should be a niche thing. These things are so expensive, and they provide way more than the consumers that use them need. So, like I have friends that have switched to the Moto G series, and they buy a Moto G every year. So they spend $300 on a phone every single year. We think of that yearly upgrade cycle as the enthusiasts that always buy the premium phone, but it's not always the case. Like a Moto G is a really good phone, and some people are satisfied with that.
Yeah, I would not go for a top end phone or one of those $900,000 phones. Even if I had the money, I I don't think I would buy one of those, especially not on a yearly basis. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I'm on the iPhone upgrade plan, which I'll
oh
probably
yeah,
I keep planning to get off of it because really like I regretted buying the 10s Max last year because it just wasn't worth it. They're just not putting in features that make it worthwhile to spend that kind of money. And I don't know. Hopefully this year I'll hold off and not buy it, pay off my phone, and just get rid of it. So, yeah,
I
so
wanted
that's
to
all we
mention
got.
something.
Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
wanted to mention because we were talking about dedicated gaming stuff, and Qualcomm does have something like that because in April they announced the. I'm gonna send you the link here just to make it easier. But they announced a bunch of new mid-tier processors, and one of them is the
Right,
730G, which is they announced 730 normal, and then the 730G, which is more so focused on gaming. So
right.
it has a different. I think it has a different GPU, or then a better variant of the GPU with
Sure.
faster graphics and stuff. So it's kind of what they're doing with the 855 Plus, but for the mid range. And so it's like you were saying, I think that makes perfect sense. We have specific components for specific kinds of devices, and then you can have tiers for these different categories. So you don't have to have necessarily a top end gaming phone, but you can have a more mid range gaming phone with a
Right.
730G and something like that. And eventually, maybe we will get to a point where that's possible.
Gotta love the branding. Um,
Yeah,
you got G for the 730, and then you got Plus for the 855.
it doesn't
So
make a lot of sense, but
yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
It's one reason that I think that they might use the 855 Plus and the Note 10 and the Pixel 4 is just because they're not actually. It says right on the page is built for gaming, but it's not in the name. Maybe they want other companies to use it in other phones. Who knows? Who knows? We'll
yeah,
find
and
out August 7th.
yeah. I would believe more that Samsung might do it because maybe they don't want to upsell the Note 10 compared to the S10 line. Google, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if they just use the normal 855. I could see Samsung more inclined to do that upgrade just to make it more seem better than the S10. That's the
Maybe.
only reason. But
Maybe. So that's it. Yeah. Yeah, hey, tomorrow's the 50th anniversary of the moon landing.
oh yeah, I was looking at the news earlier. Nvidia recreated it with RTX graphics. That was interesting.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's very cool. I'm going, a lot of that stuff was developed on Long Island. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
I had a
the
feeling. I had a feeling. Yeah, so a lot of that's like Grumman was a company based on Long Island, and yeah, like the lunar module that was developed here. And so tomorrow I'm going to it's called the Cradle of Aviation Museum, and we have a real lunar module here. You know that?
oh,
Yeah.
oh wow, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it's obviously like there's no surviving lunar modules that were used, but the the Apollo 18 mission was canceled, and so we have that one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
That's
cool. Yeah, I can't wait. I love going to that place, man. I used to live like 5 minutes away from it, and I would just go down there on Saturday afternoons and walk around. It's a cool place. So it's a it's an aviation museum. It's awesome.
Yeah, that seems interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most importantly, they sell astronaut ice cream.
What the heck is astronaut ice cream?
I'm not gonna curse, but are you kidding me? Seriously, you never had astronaut ice cream?
No, I don't think so.
What the?
Okay.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna look it up.
It's the greatest thing ever. Okay.
Oh, okay. I think I know what it is. Okay.
Yeah. So it's basically freeze dried ice cream. So it's just a brick of dried ice cream. It melts in your mouth and it's delicious.
No, actually,
we gotta get some for you. Oh man. Oh, you were just in DC too. You could went to Smithsonian and got some.
Oh man, now you're making me feel bad about this.
Oh no, but it's now my life's mission to get you to try astronaut ice cream. So.
Okay, next time I go to the US, I'll make sure to check it out.
Absolutely.
I don't think that exists here, so yeah.
Probably not. I don't. That's it. I'm at the Rich Woods on Twitter. Spell your Twitter handle.
I'm at In the Spot, which is INDOSPOT. And
all right. Awesome. All right, we'll catch you guys next week.
All right, see you everyone.